Today, we're delving into a topic that touches countless lives, often kind of hidden from view, but incredibly powerful: the journey of sobriety.
Hmm.
We've gathered insights from a collection of sources detailing personal stories from well-known individuals who've bravely shared their experiences with addiction and recovery.
Right. And our mission with this deep dive really is to move beyond just the headlines. We want to unpack the diverse paths to sobriety, exploring not just what sparks that initial change, but maybe why those catalysts are so potent. And looking at the often unseen struggles along the way, and of course, the profound transformations that can emerge. We'll be looking for those maybe less obvious nuggets of wisdom and how people navigate chaos and find their way out.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is just the sheer variety of experiences, from these quiet, decade-long commitments to really public battles, even relapses. You're going to hear about unexpected triggers, hidden challenges, and the unique methods people use to reclaim their lives. It all points to these bigger truths about, I guess, human resilience and change. Okay, so let's unpack the beginning of these journeys. It often seems marked by a pivotal moment or maybe a profound realization. What stands out to you in our sources about what prompted these individuals to make that change?
One striking aspect is how often the motivation seems to come from either intense external pressures or maybe a sudden, stark internal clarity. These aren't just, moments of discomfort. They're often profound reevaluations. Like Paula Patton, her 15-year-old son, Julian, he was her direct inspiration. She said when she got sober back in 2018, it allowed her to, quote, live life again like a kid, even traveling the world with him, like that 11 p.m. hike in Iceland where they bathed in a hot stream.
That's such a beautiful, specific image. It really highlights how focusing on family can redefine your whole reality.
Yeah.
And we see a similar, powerful family-related trigger with Eminem. He reflected in his 2025 documentary Stands that missing his daughter Haley Jade's birthday party because of prescription pill abuse, that was a real wake-up call. He remembered telling himself, do you want to flaving miss this again? Do you want to miss everything?
Yeah.
You can't do it for yourself, you fucking pussy. At least do it for them. Just raw internal stuff driven by love.
It really makes you consider that interplay, doesn't it, between self-motivation and the influence of others. Jason Ritter, for example, he initially said he got sober for his now wife, Melanie Linsky, feeling he wasn't that person for her, maybe a little bit too crazy.
Right.
But then he later acknowledged that, okay, well, it was maybe easier to say it was for her back then. He now sees he's actually doing it for himself. It's that journey,
Yeah.
from external push to internal commitment. Yeah, exactly. And beyond direct family, sometimes it's friends intervening or just the sheer force of a personal reckoning. Dennis Quaid spoke of a white light experience, that intense, almost spiritual kind of clarity you hear about with rock bottom. He said he saw myself either dead or losing everything that meant anything to me during his cocaine addiction in the 80s. And then he had to sit down his then fiancée, Meg Ryan, and just explain what was happening.
Mm-hmm. And this brings us to that crucial role of external intervention, or sometimes an ultimatum. For Demi Moore, it was a self-destructive path that brought her to a real crisis point early in her career. She ended up seeking treatment in 2012 after two unnamed people gave her an ultimatum. Basically told her, unless I was dead, I better show up.
Wow.
Yeah. And similarly, Bradley Cooper credits his friend Will Arnett. Arnett confronted him about his cocaine addiction in the early 2000s. Cooper calls Arnett the reason he went sober. He noted it was a risk, having that hard conversation. Absolutely. And Jamie Lee Curtis's story, that really highlights the impact of hitting a true rock bottom and the power of a loved one's plea. After a 10-year opiate addiction, she hit her low when she stole her sister's painkillers. She left a note, and her sister's response was just incredibly impactful. She said she loved her, was concerned, and was, quote, unwilling to watch me kill myself. And that led Curtis straight to her first meeting, February 3rd, 1999.
And finally, sometimes it's the body itself that just delivers the undeniable ultimatum. Country star Brantley Gilbert, heavily addicted to alcohol and pain pills. He was hospitalized in late 2011 with pancreatitis, told he wouldn't see his next birthday if he didn't stop drinking. He actually tried to slow down on his own, marking bottles and stuff, but ultimately couldn't do it alone and entered rehab. So these stories, collectively, they show that while the catalyst varies a lot, it's often a moment of such undeniable consequence that, well, avoidance just isn't an option anymore.
What truly resonates, though, I think, in these stories is how non-linear these journeys often are. These aren't simple aha moments followed by, immediate permanent change.
Yeah.
Not usually. The sources reveal the immense difficulty, the hidden battles, even relapses that are very much part of the landscape. What stands out to you as the raw honesty in these accounts of struggle?
Yeah, a key takeaway seems to be this pervasive struggle with secrecy and the internal kind of rationalizations people go through. Jason Biggs, for instance, announced he was 1 year sober in 2018 after struggling for over 5 years. He just said, flat out, turns out this SE is hard.
Hmm.
And he later reflected on hiding his struggle, like buying a fifth of vodka after good therapy sessions and constantly replacing those bottles in the bar all the time just to take myself out of the life equation.
That idea of hiding it is so common and just heartbreaking. Does hiding the struggle like that, like Biggs describes, does it just inadvertently make it harder to get the help you need? What do these stories tell us about the power of maybe vulnerability and recovery, even when it feels terrifying? Like Dak Shepard, right? He'd been sober 16 years. Then he relapsed in 2020 after a motorcycle accident, admitted he was taking Vicodin all day, lying to other people, had this enormous secret. He found his tolerance just shooting up, leading to profound fear and loneliness.
And the public nature of relapse can be especially tough. It adds this whole other layer of pressure. Demi Lovato, publicly celebrated 6 years of sobriety in 2018, then stunned fans later that year with her song Sober, revealing she'd relapse, and then was hospitalized for a near-fatal overdose just a month later. She wrote on Instagram that addiction is not something that disappears or fades with time. It is something I must continue to overcome and have not done yet. It really underscores that recovery is a continuous process, not, a final destination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the extent of the addiction can also be quite shocking, challenging our perceptions of what addiction looks like. Ashlyn Harris, the two-time FIFA Women's World Cup champ, she spoke openly about misusing Adderall in college for injuries, admitted she was heavily addicted, said she would go days without sleeping, was crushing it and snorting it, called it wild.
And what's particularly insidious, as Brantley Gilbert pointed out, is that sometimes addiction operates sort of beneath the surface of apparent functionality. Despite his heavy addiction to alcohol and pain pills, he said he was fully functioning. Even wrote more songs then than he does now, which he called the scary part.
Wow, yeah.
It highlights that addiction doesn't always fit those societal stereotypes of dysfunction. And Noah Cyrus, battling Xanax addiction, she noted her friends kind of co-signed her drug use, creating this dark pit, bottomless pit. She became completely nodding off and so far gone. It shows that dangerous spiral of, normalized use.
It really shows how easily you can become trapped, even when you're surrounded by others. Jax Taylor, speaking out about his decades-long battle with cocaine since he was 23, admitted it was just hard to say out loud that he's an addict. And Lily Allen recounting being parasitically drunk, feeling like nothing seemed to reach or satisfy me, to the point where she thought, maybe it's time for heroin. These anecdotes, they just reveal the huge internal and external battles, the deep loneliness, and that constant negotiation with yourself that defines the struggle. So after acknowledging the sheer difficulty, what does this all mean for the path forward? Beyond the struggle, these stories offer some incredible insights into the different tools people use to maintain sobriety and the profound positive changes that follow.
Yeah, it's compelling to see how many individuals actually leverage their past experiences for growth. Paula Patton, for example, connecting her journey to her art in the film Finding Faith. She found a method to safely revisit the mindset of addiction for her role. She called people she knew during that time, asked them how she was, listened to music she would have listened to, and ultimately gave herself grace, saying, "You were doing the best you could at the time. You didn't know any better, but now you do better, and it's okay." That reflects a really powerful process of self-forgiveness and integration, I think.
Definitely. And the impact on daily life is significant, often shows up as tangible improvements in well-being. A.J. McLean, after getting sober again in 2021, noted it's a daily thing, but his life is flipped in a positive way. He discovered new verbiage, such as boundaries, which points to a crucial aspect of recovery, right? Establishing healthier self-care and interpersonal dynamics. He also lost 32 pounds after cutting alcohol and fast food, stating drinking weighed down my mental state. Similarly, Tom Holland stopped drinking in 2022 after feeling enslaved to alcohol. Noticed he could sleep better, handle problems better, had so much better mental clarity, felt healthier and fitter.
Right, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, these physical and mental shifts, they underscore the profound neurobiological and psychological realignment that happens in sobriety. It's not just the absence of a substance, it's the active reestablishment of healthy brain function and emotional regulation.
Right.
Alec Baldwin, 39 years sober now, finds New York actually relaxes him. He walks around and sees aspects of it that I've never seen before,
Yeah.
like noticing details about buildings he'd never noticed.
Like seeing with fresh eyes.
Exactly. And Anne Hathaway, more than 5 years sober, states everything is better for her. Compares alcohol to an allergic reaction, says it was wallowing fuel, which she now dislikes.
It's almost like a rediscovery of the world around them, isn't it? Eminem found a new power in his sobriety, channeling that energy back into his music, which he said turned the light on. He realized he wasn't embarrassed anymore and started treating sobriety like a superpower. Took pride in quitting. That speaks volumes about how sobriety can become a source of profound strength, a foundation for new creative outputs.
And for Ashlyn Harris, her college coach, Anson Dorrance, helped her by having her read books. Specifically, Man's Search for Meaning, which she says changed my life by reframing suffering, which highlights the power of intellectual, philosophical frameworks in coping and growth. Then you have Drew Barrymore, who doesn't use the label sober because she doesn't want to be seen as some perfect Puritan. She shared that not drinking just did not serve me in my life, and letting go has been liberating and vulnerable. Realizing, as she put it, I never mastered this and you never will. It's more of a personal, pragmatic choice for her, not a rigid identity.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Ryan Phillip echoed that feeling of liberation, too.
Yeah.
Shared he's been free from nicotine, marijuana, and other things for his longest stretch since he was a teen. Feels thankful for the freedom that comes with breaking addictions and dependency on substance. He added, sobriety, clarity, and spiritual connectedness feels real good. It points to this holistic sense of well-being beyond just, abstinence.
And Jada Pinkett Smith highlighted the deeper introspection that's often involved, explained that her addictions tend to jump from sex to alcohol, and that the key thing is not what you're doing, but how you're with it, why you're doing it. She realized her alcohol problem when she was alone with 2 bottles of wine, going for a third, and just went cold turkey. Her insight really emphasizes looking at the underlying emotional, psychological drivers, not just the substance itself.
Right, getting to the root cause. And finally, Bow Wow, after his severe cough syrup addiction, he took to Twitter to warn young people, saying he almost died funning with syrup and his stomach will never be the same. He urged them, drug-free is the way to be. Smarten up, tighten up out here. Aww. That direct public warning, born from personal experience, serves as a pretty powerful preventative tool.
Absolutely. So what we've really seen from these deeply personal accounts is that the path to sobriety is, well, rarely simple. It's often marked by hidden struggles, surprising catalysts, and immense courage. It's a journey of profound self-discovery, finding diverse forms of support, and fundamentally reshaping one's relationship with themselves and the world. The underlying mechanism often seems to be a reevaluation of self-worth and this fierce reclaiming of personal agency.
Yeah, from the very public struggles and relapses to the quiet daily commitment, the common thread really is a profound desire for a different, maybe more authentic life. You've heard about the power of family, its crucial role of friends and intervention, the impact of therapy, creative expression, and just the sheer quiet grit it takes to break free from dependence. It transforms not just habits, but your entire perspective.
Which raises an important question for you, the listener, to maybe consider as you reflect on your own life. If you were to look at a challenge you're currently facing, what might be the white light experience or maybe the hard conversation? That could be the catalyst for your own significant shift, something that could fundamentally change your relationship with that challenge.
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the resilient journeys of sobriety. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.